guess it was always the auditors Lee was kind of most afraid of with this chart and guidance. Anthony, what would you?
No, I think from a lawful perspective, making sure that we don't break the public good laws. So that's the chart that we all use to. What's your question?
So I agree, like materials and supplies from the legislative auditor side, it's clear cut, and from the law, it's pretty clear cut. All right, I'd like to call this committee meeting to order. If you'd please join me in standing for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For roll call, we're just going to go right into it. Board member Edmund cannot be with us today, but we do have a quorum. We have board member Mr. Bajeron and myself present. So we're going to roll right into the agenda. Item 2.1, a review and approval of the Lafayette Parish School Board Board Insurance Finance Committee meeting minutes from the June 4th, 2025 meeting. Hopefully those have already been reviewed. And at this time, I'd accept a motion to accept those minutes.
I'd like to make a motion that the committee approve the minutes from Board Insurance Finance Committee meeting on June 4th, 2025.
I'll second that motion. And now that we have a motion on the floor, I'll call for any public comment about the committee meeting minutes from June 4th meeting. Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Bajeron?
Yes.
Mr. Hidalgo?
Yes.
2-4, motion passes.
All right. Item 2.2, discussion and our action regarding the Gallagher report. At this time, yes, Gallagher, if you'll just come forward and give us your report. Make sure the microphones are on. As always, speak loud and clear. This is recorded on YouTube, so we want to make sure that everyone can hear all of the conversation. Welcome. Floor is yours.
No? Ooh,
There we go.
sorry.
And let's check this one.
How'd you do that? Okay. So we prepared an agenda today. We have 3 items that we'd like to speak to you. We want to go over the traditional PBM, which you guys know more as, just for ease of understanding, is the active employees who are over 65, retirees, active employees over 65.
Ms. Melody.
You're none.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. So we have 3 different items on the agenda.
Yes.
And just, to keep things legitimate, we want to make sure to speak on each item at their proper time. Item 2.3 talks about the PBM market check for employer group for the EGWIP, and item 2.4 talks about pharmacy benefits for traditional services.
Okay.
So
I'll
it's a
flip those.
technicality.
No, I
if you
appreciate
had
that.
anything else that you wanted to report on from Gallagher, now would be the time to do it. And then we can certainly attack these agenda items in any order that you choose. We can swap the order. That's fine. But anything outside of the PBM that you guys wanted to report on, now would be the time to do it.
The only thing that we added was the service calendar.
Okay, can we jump to that?
Basically, once we've reviewed the market check, we just wanted to remind everybody, that this is not the end of our work. Probably what we'll be focusing on, as you can see, will be the open enrollment and continuing to implement the point solutions and the changes in the various vendors that we've elected for the upcoming fiscal year and plan year. That's the update on the service calendar.
Any questions, Mr. Badger?
I just have one. Do we have an update on where we're at with the coverage gap that we discussed whenever we approved the third-party administrator? We had like a 4%, or what was the coverage gap? Do we have updates for that?
Are you referencing the disruptions?
Yeah, disruption, sorry.
We're in the process of meeting. In fact, we actually met with one of those disruptors today. And we have several others that are on the list. And again, we have till January 1 to make sure that we get all of these disruptions taken care of.
But I know they have requested reporting, and they're working on that.
Thank you.
So I think, Jeremy, if I understood, I need to kind of flip the presentation and talk about EGWIP first, and then the traditional PBM?
No, you tell me how you want to do it. You want to
Okay.
follow your presentation, we can go to item 2.4,
Okay.
traditional services. Is that what you'd prefer?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, I'd like to go to item 2.4, discussion and or action regarding the pharmacy benefit manager market check for traditional services. Floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So as we did on the third-party administrative check, it involved, extensive review of you currently have and what those offerings are, and then we asked questions, went to the market, not just with our team that you've met. Currently, you've now been introduced to our pharmacy team, which is made up of folks who specialize in nothing but the pharmacy market, which includes pharmacists. Based on the questionnaires and the information that we received quotes from RX Benefits, which is CVS Health, Louisiana Blue, which is Express Scripts, Med Impact, Meritain CVS, and UMR Optum RX. On your EGWIP plan, which is your Medicare eligible individuals, the two responders that responded 100% to our questionnaires and our requirements was Silver Scripts, CVS, and Med Impact. You'll note that not all pharmacy benefit managers are in the EGWIP space. So if you look at that, you won't see the same respondents because it really is a different offering. First, we'll review the traditional, what we're calling the traditional check. That's made up of your active folks who are over 65 and your non-Medicare folks. CVS is listed as your baseline. The average the total drug cost or total spend is $17,880,000. This is primarily made up of a discounting arrangement that is the average wholesale price plus a cost and a dispensing fee. Then currently you're receiving rebates, and they have an administrative fee. So that spend currently is $13,190,000. We have a 2027 cost, and then we're showing a 2028 cost. So over a 3-year cumulative period of time, that number is at $42 million. The next offering is through Meritain. Meritain, same format. We have the drug cost, the rebates, the total admin, and then the net cost, which again is less your rebates. So you're at a spend of $11 million for 2026, and so on and so forth for the next couple of years. So they have a total spend of $37 million. Optum RX, same format, 3-year cumulative, $35 million. So you can see the difference of the cost over $3 million. So on the next page, any questions so far? Everybody understands the format. Next page is your EGWIP, which is your retirees. Those are over age 65. Again, your baseline is who you're currently with, which is CVS. That spend today, for 2026, would be $14 million, 2027, $16 million, so on and so forth. Total spend of $49 million. CVS Caremark, $43 million, and then Med Impact at $42 million. So for ease of the eye, if you go to the next page, the two winners are Optum RX for your active and non-Medicare at $35 million over a 3-year cumulative period of time, or $7 million savings. And then you have, for your EGWIP, Med Impact, which is a $6 million savings, an overall 3-year savings of $13 million. Next page. Let's see what we have.
Before you go any further, we've had quite a bit of question revolving around PBM prescription drugs for many years from a lot of different groups of people. And so even though this is not directly related to this market check and how it washes out, I want to bring attention to the numbers that, again, this market check was based on actual claims, prescription drug claims. Am I using the right terminology for you? And we took our actual claims, we sent it out to market. The market said, had you purchased the exact same drugs at the exact same time, with the exact same people, with us, this is what it would have cost. So to put it in a perspective, this is going to be something hopefully folks will hang on to for a long time, because it shows here, it kind of answers the question that has been asked of us for quite some time now that we either haven't been able to, or we just haven't given it. But we're looking at, if you look at the lower cost option for the traditional, it's 11.7 million. And that's for actives. And then for retirees, it was 12.167. So the numbers that we talk about moving forward, and when we convert this into percentages, we need to keep what we're talking about today in mind, so that everyone understands and that it's on a level playing field and it's transparent. If we say that 30% of the people cost us 60% of the spend, we need to be able to refer back to the actual numbers. And I know it's a moving target. I know we're going to talk about disruption. Disruption for PBM is completely different than disruption from medical, because that changes throughout the year, where medical changes whenever if we make a change like we just did. So please help us keep that in mind when we throw these numbers out, because we throw a lot of numbers out, rightfully so, but it needs to be in context, in perspective, so that everyone can understand what we're talking about, where the numbers come from.
So let me add to that is first, and I think this right here, if you can go back a couple of slides, this right here states, and this is whether it's our retirees or our actives, is that we need to go to market checks every 3 years. That is the recommendation from Gallagher, and it's not something that you just do, every 10 years. This right here is showing that in this particular 1 year, we're going to save $1.4 million with doing the same thing we did last year. And over 3 years, it's going to be $7 million. Remember the costs that we had to take out of general fund and put into that particular account. That was $6 million by itself. Go to the next slide. The first year, we're going to get $2 million. Then over 3 years, we're going to get 6.5. We actually may have enough money to get a reserve in our health insurance, so that we don't have to worry about every year coming back to why we're changing benefits, why we're doing different things. So we're going down the right path. We did it. We saved money with Blue Cross, with moving from Blue Cross. So that's going to be a cost saving. This right here is 2 additional things. And these are big ticket items that we are going after that is not going to change someone's benefits, as far as we're going to raise your premiums, we're going to change your coverages, we're going to do all these different things. This is like shopping your car insurance every year. We have to do these type of things, and this is the results. This does not lie. We're going to be able to do this by going in this direction, and hopefully we're going to have reserves in this account that is such a big account here in Lafayette Parish.
And Francis, I'd like to just add to that, not only have we found money, if you will, we also want to audit these companies. So as we enter into relationships on a 3-year basis, we want to ensure that they've given us exactly what they told us that they would do. So you've never had as far as I know, you've never had a PBM audit, and you've never had a claims audit on the medical side. And that will be 2 items that we will add to the service calendar that will keep those vendors honest, if you will.
want to add to the superintendent's statements. He said, not changing a benefit, but I hope he's wrong. I hope that we're able to change the benefit for the better. I hope we're able to claw back the changes we've made over a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year period and lower deductibles and raise coinsurance on our side. That number, that first column, the $2 million, that's not a projection, ladies and gentlemen. That is a number that had we been with MedImpact last year, that is what we would have spent less on prescription drugs for every single drug that was handed over the counter to one of our members last year. The rest of them are projections, and we know things change, but that first number is a solid number that we would have saved. And if you back up to the slide before, it's $1.4 million on the egg whip. So, on the traditional. So, we have been taken advantage of because we have been too afraid of change, and we have to continue to stay on our game as it relates to going out and holding these companies accountable to competing fairly.
We can review information in the appendix, but I think you summarized, where we are. Gallagher, as you know, we've had interviews with the finalist. We've been talking about cost quite a bit, so I think the summary page is probably your focus. But you wouldn't be wrong with any of the finalists that are on the spreadsheet.
I do have a question regarding that. I know you guys, like you said, went to market check, and people who were interested came back. I don't know if the market check was limited. I have a serious question. I mean, did you guys consider sending out this market check to PBMs that are not owned by insurance companies or the big pharmacy companies?
What I would say, no, we did not go to what you would call less than maybe, the big 10. There is a movement in Louisiana to look at those disruptors without a lot of disclosure. Well, to Tony's point, MedImpact is not owned by an insurance company, but they would still be considered part of the Big 10. There are numerous numbers of disruptors out there. Some of those PBMs maybe are more in favor of the local pharmacist. It's a whole nother item for discussion, if you will. These are 3-year contracts, they're 3-year guarantees, but that doesn't mean that you can't go to a market check next year.
Thank you that was going to be my next question. Expound on that just a little bit. This is a 3-year guarantee quote contract, but if we need to pull the trigger on something different next year for whatever reason, multitude of reasons, are there any penalties?
Are there any benefit?
Penalties.
Say it again, Jeremy, I'm sorry.
Penalties.
Oh, no penalties.
Any
No
penalties? Are
No
we going to owe anybody money? Are we
No.
going to lose money
No,
if we, within this 3-year period,
no,
decide that we want to look at something different prior to the end of the 3-year agreement? Okay.
I think also it needs to be noted that we are with CVS right now, and I'm sure that everyone in this room is aware of what's going on as far as Baton Rouge is concerned, and what's going to a special session as far as CVS is concerned, and how they are kind of holding both hands together as far as being someone who is in the pharmacy business, but also in a business as far as retail. And I'm just not convinced that the governor and the legislature is going to move in a direction that I can guarantee if they pull the trigger on this, with our current, we would be scrambling for what we would do as far as coverage, as far as our drugs are concerned. So I think that is something that we need to kind of just be aware of.
Melanie or Anthony, could you please spend a little bit of time talking about disruption? Please describe the difference in disruption on PBM versus disruption on the medical side. And please give some examples of how disruption works with PBM and how different it is.
Okay, so what the PBM market really does is they go get discounts on these thousands of drugs, and not only do they get them on, these thousands of drugs, they might get a discount based on a 30-day supply versus a 60-day supply, or it's also a discount based on dosing. So it's, when we think of the number of transactions that occur in the medical industry, you can basically multiply that by 5 as it relates to the number of claims that come through on the pharmacy side. It's much different. So CVS might have cut a deal with Lilly on a drug, and the same equivalent of that drug, another PBM will cut a deal on a discount with another manufacturer. When that happens, maybe that PBM knows that his deal isn't as good as that one over there. He just can't get that deal. This PBM has a deal with Lilly, and he can't get that deal. But what he can do is he can go get a better deal on other prescriptions. So it might be that one drug falls into a tier 3 as it relates to the participant, meaning they have a higher copay because they were in tier 2. So if they were in tier 2 and now it falls to tier 3, they have more out of their pocket. When you think of medical, it's just usually in-network or out-of-network. That's the disruption. In pharmacy, the disruption is, what copay am I going to have to pay? What tier does it now fall in? In addition to that, it could be that one pharmacy benefit manager feels so strongly about their discounts with a drug that he excludes a drug of the same equivalent. And he disrupts that member by contacting the physician and letting them know what drugs on the formulary. And typically, if there's maybe a life-compelling reason that individual should stay on that other drug, then they will let that person stay on that drug. But we like to take the conservative approach and say, you will have people that are negatively impacted, and you will have people who are positively impacted, and we've shown, that number of 51 positives and 231 negatives, and then 175 exclusions, which means they would have to move to a different drug of the same equivalent.
So how often can formularies change?
They typically change once a year, 1 to 2 times a year.
And who has control over that?
Your contract.
So if a formulary changes, not a company change, not a change in who you contracted with, but the formulary changes, that causes disruption.
Mm-hmm. So
whether or not you change PBMs, whether or not you change the way you do business, it's pretty sure shot that you're going to have some disruption at least once a year.
Right. And remember that's what the responsibility of our pharmacy team was, and that's why we were able to find savings, is because we held their feet to the fire. I'm not going to say specifically on that, but on many levers, they've held their feet to the fire and said, you can't pull these levers. You have to continue to dispense drugs at this rate for us to get those guarantees.
Well, I guess to take it a deeper dive, if the company you're dealing with, whoever it is, SilverScripts, whoever it is, if there's a formulary change and they say this particular drug you're no longer going to be able to get at, tier 2 at this rate, but we'll offer the generic. Then you have the patient over here saying, well, my doctor says I need the brand name drug. Then you have this argument, and we don't know why the doctor is recommending the brand name over generic. We can speculate, but then you have the patient, the member, saying, well, I want that drug, and you're making a change, and you're hurting me by sending me the generic. Then you have the PBM saying, of course we're not. This is the same drug. It's a different name. This is what we're offering you. I mean, that happens all the time. Just because you change a company doesn't mean that's going to happen more or less. It happens all the time based on them going cut a deal. The market might be saturated with this brand name, and they can pop out this generic a lot quicker. So guess what?
And to
Better
your
deal.
point, Jeremy, the pharmacy team could have found more savings. They could have found a whole lot more savings
By excluding drugs.
by excluding drugs.
Well, we didn't want to do that.
And you guys didn't want to do that, right? You wanted everything to basically stay the same. Unfortunately, you just can't make that happen. But just know, there are other levers that can be pulled, and that's sort of in that space of disruptors. So maybe those disruptors aren't getting the deals that the top 10 can get, but they have other levers that can be pulled to reduce your costs. And we just have to look at it to see the impact that would have on the participants. But that's way down the road.
And I just want to talk about what it looks like on a disruption. In this case, because the decision will be made a lot sooner, letters will go out to members. They're going to be notified if they're moving a tier. In some cases, in this situation, you see some are actually going to be positive. They're going to be going from a tier 3 to a tier 2. In the cases of the negatives, and what negative means is that might be moving from a tier 2 to a tier 3, or in the case of the exclusions, they're going to be getting notice that's going to go out way ahead of time, so that if there are prior authorizations or if there are medical necessity things that need to be done, that people aren't caught off guard on January 1. So that I do want to be clear that it's a little different than on the medical side, where you have to go look up and see if it's covered. There's going to be proactive notification on these.
Because we already know where the disruption is. And so, I had a point on that. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, like the 107 or the 231. Okay, that's a large number. Is that people?
It could be, but it's prescriptions.
So it's prescriptions,
Okay, so it's not necessarily people.
right?
It could
It's
be 100
prescription.
people, it could be 150 people, it could be 200 people, it could be 50 people.
It's prescriptions. And I guess the point I wanted to make is you've probably had formulary changes that you were unaware of over the years, because I'm not sure what that contract really looked like and how were their feet held to the fire or not. But in today's world of formularies, it is not like 10 years ago. Physicians today will fill a script, and their back room is getting phone calls all day long because of all of these formulary changes, and the physician just doesn't know. He just doesn't know. So out of 5,000 times, you're going to find that the vast majority, they're going to be able to change that recommendation to another drug because it is the equivalent. So that world of changing formularies and people worrying about the equivalent of the drug, those days are over.
I guess one of my final comments, and Mr. Bazeron, I'll turn it over to you, but so this presentation actually alarms me. I'm shocked. Frankly, I'm embarrassed, because I can't believe that we have left this much on the table for so long, arguably so long. And I want to make sure that
Go back to the stadium.
outside of the normal disruption that we would see in formulary changes, because changing companies is changing formularies. Outside of that normal disruption that we would arguably see every year, that we make sure that whatever we do, that it's as smooth of a transition as possible for every one of the 10,000 or however many members are on prescription drugs in our district. Because this red flag, it's embarrassing to me. I'm not blaming
No, I understand.
anyone, but this is an embarrassment. That this is how much, 70% of that comes out of taxpayers' dollars, the remainder comes out of our members' pockets. And this is what we've been leaving on the table for how long?
We will strongly recommend that you audit every vendor that you do business with.
Okay. Mr. Bazeron?
I'm just gonna echo a lot of what Mr. Hidalgo already said, that like, that's an insignificant, I mean, that's a very significant amount of money that we've been leaving on the table every year. That's been pretty much adjusted by premiums since I've been on the board. And I think it's high time that we, I say it again, when I got on the board, everybody said you can't just keep throwing money at a problem, you gotta find creative solutions, and this is one of them. So hopefully, right, we come back and we say, all right, one of the things I'd like to see eventually one day is that we combine all the different rates from all the different groups into one again, and hopefully we start moving towards that direction, simplify, or create one risk group, 'cause I feel like we've created a couple risk groups here, and eventually hopefully lower our premiums a little bit and get a better
think
job.
that
I think in
makes
3
sense.
years,
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think in 3 years we'll have a better idea too of like where we're going, and we'll have some more data under our heads, and this will become part of our routine instead of waiting decades to do this. But yeah,
Well, we don't think our work is done yet. So that's the good news on your
It's
part.
not.
I mean, we were very excited when we participated in the, request for proposals. We were anticipating these type of savings, but we'd wait until we get the results. We know there's other areas that we can continue to tackle.
So my question, I guess, is so we move PBMs, right, and the disruption is going to happen. How do we communicate, or what's the typical communication plan, or how do we let people know that there's going to be disruption, or what's going to be disrupted as a part of that change?
Honestly, I'm going to ask Trish if we haven't gone through that process yet, but it's an administrative process whereby it's regulated. You have to give adequate notice. You have to make sure that the way in which you outreach to your people, satisfies the DOL. What exactly that is, Mr. Bergeron, I apologize.
That's okay. 'Cause
But
I
I
look at some
don't
of
think the PBMs, that we haven't gone through an install, we haven't made a decision yet. We can come back and let you know what that process
I
is.
think that no matter what, we're going to need to make a decision quickly. We need to get this in front of the board because the board has to approve this. And then once the board makes this decision, that's where Trish and you guys can get together and make sure that we have a plan of attack from when this change is going to actually take place.
And we'll answer Mr. Bergeron's question prior to the board decision.
Yeah, and like, 'cause I'm looking at some of the medications in the notes that say, so some of them are like is it cyanocobalamin, right? That's a B12 vitamin. I recognize that one. And then like you have some that are thyroid medicines though.
So those are not, those are from that's actually some of the things that already took place on July 1. That is not, it's in these notes, but that was part of the wrap.
I got
It was
you.
eliminated.
What the point I was trying to make was like some of these medications are like these like the thyroid medication stuff you're gonna be on for a while.
So your question on the disruption
Yeah.
piece, now Melody was talking about notifying about the changes. On the disruption piece, once the vendor is selected and that eligibility is transferred over, they have this information. They will then proactively start reaching out to the members.
Personally to those members.
Yep.
Yeah, some of these are like cough medicines and some of these are like thyroid medicines. So like we're dealing with two different types of medication here, and I just want to make sure that our as we say, the belly buttons on our plan understand like because some of these might be some major changes for some people into a different type of drug.
Right.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right.
This was thinking about something.
Mr. Bazeron, would you be okay? Go ahead. You
I
had
was gonna say, like, do we wanna? We got to bring this to the full board, right?
We do. We have two options here. It's listed as action or information. I'm going to make a suggestion, and I'm going to also follow your lead. We can make a motion today to recommend, both separate items, by the way, to recommend the recommendation from Gallagher to the full board, which allows public discussion at our committee meeting. Or we could certainly allow the superintendent to bring recommendations at the board meeting. I say we make recommendations today, and if you're okay with that.
I would like to, so I'll go ahead and do it then. I will,
All right, remember, we're on item 2.4, okay?
Yes.
One at a time.
2.3 or 2.4?
We're on item 2.4.
Okay. So for 2.4, I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to the full board Gallagher's recommendation to change the PBM for traditional services. That,
To Optum RX.
to Optum Rx, yes.
Did you get that? You guys want to maybe just move over?
We have as the motion that the committee recommend to the full board Gallagher's recommendation to Optum RX.
For traditional services.
Okay.
Traditional PBM
Yep.
services.
Okay.
All right, we have a second by me. So now that we have a motion and a second, we're going to open it up for public discussion. Again, this is on the traditional, active, and non-Medicare member PBM side of the House. Is there any public comment on the motion on the floor to award the PBM contract to Optum?
Nope, to recommend to the full board.
I
I
just
just want
course.
to make sure it's clear.
Of course, thank you. All right, hearing none, call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Bergeron?
Yes.
Mr. Hidalgo?
Yes,
2 for, none against.
motion carries. Now we'll move on to item 2.3. Mr. Bergeron, did you want to?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve Gallagher's recommendation for the EGWEP prescription benefits manager to Med Impact, and have that approved by the full board.
If you can word it closely to the same, that would be great.
Yes, please.
All right, I'll second that. We have a second. We have a motion on the floor to award MedImpact the EGWIP PBM contract as, or send it to the board for final approval. Do we have any public comment?
I really just have a question for you. I understand why we're going away from Silver Script because it was 49 million as opposed to 42 million. However, we've been used to CVS Caremark, and their difference between Caremark and Medipac over a 3-year period is 300,000. So for 42 million, you're going to switch from one that you're familiar with to one that you're not for 100,000 a year. I don't know if is that reasonable? That doesn't make sense? You want me to try again? Okay. MedImpact is 42,684,000. CVS Caremark for 3 years is 43,048,000. That's a $300,000 difference over 3 years. Am I looking at the right chart? Well, that's what I'm looking at. No, I'm not talking about CVS Silver Script. I'm talking about CVS Caremark. We've been working with CVS Caremark for a long time, yes. is 43,048,000 for a 3-year period. Med Impact is 42,684,000. The difference between the two is about 300,000 over a 3-year period.
Okay, let's hold on.
Does that make sense?
What you're saying makes sense, but I don't think it's
Oh,
in
okay.
context. Oh, wait, stay there.
Okay.
Melody or somebody, step up to the podium because we're comparing the two bids to what we currently do, and I want you to specify the difference between CVS Caremark Silver Scripts and CVS Caremark Pass-Through.
No, I'm not talking about Silver
I have the
Script.
floor. We'll get you in a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the CVS Caremark pass-through that you see here is going through Meritain. So there will be some differences. From an administrative perspective, they would have to go through all those changes. And what we did is, if you look at the first year, you get a little more. You get all that 300,000 that you talked about, and we need that money. So
Well,
from
not only that,
Okay.
identify the difference between Silver Script CVS Caremark Baseline
And so
and CVS Caremark Pass-Through. Identify the difference. Let us know, if we went with CVS Caremark, okay, which is only a $300,000 difference in the competition, not in what we're spending, is it the same thing? Are we changing anything at all, or is it just no change? What I'm hearing from the gentleman is this $6 million savings, the CVS Caremark pass-through, is what we have right now. What I'm hearing from you is it is not. I need clarity on that.
there still would be changes in the formularies. The
Okay.
answer is there still would be changes.
All right, so I think hopefully that answers your question, that there still will be changes. There still will be changes in the processes. You're still going to get a different card. It's still going to be close to the same amount of disruption, and we're going to go with, we're recommending the most savings, yes.
All right.
All right,
Mine is a question as well. Does MedImpact require certain pharmacies? Will local pharmacies be able to participate? Or do they direct to a certain pharmacy, and do both, does it have a mail-in?
What was the last part?
Mail-in,
They do have,
but it's not required.
everyone has to speak in the mic, especially if it's,
me. Okay, so they do have mail order, and you can go to your local pharmacist through MedImpact.
you can go to a local pharmacy, and they do have mail order.
Yes.
Okay. I want to make sure there wasn't a T on the end of can. Yes, ma'am.
Somewhere in one of the pages I read that they just used regular medications to come up with standard medications. So specialty drugs weren't included in the study at all.
Oh, for sure.
They were?
Yes,
included?
100%.
So there won't be a change for specialty drugs either, except for the disruption that you've already indicated.
The benefits to you with your copay structure, et cetera, is not changing.
Okay.
Do we have any other public comment on the motion on the floor? Any committee member, Mr. Touchette? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bergeron?
Yes.
Mr. Hidalgo?
Yes.
2 for, none against.
All right, with that said, there are no further items on the agenda. This meeting is adjourned.